Oh, hi there. My name's Jorge. I grew up in the 80s and I used to love getting into trouble. I have always been a friend of felines. I take my faith very seriously, attending school at a Christian college, and I've been a music fan my entire life. Recently finding out I really like extreme metal, and I want to invite you to journey with me on my discovery of extreme metal. What is up, folks? Welcome back to A Christian Collects Death Metal. It's your pal Jorge here, back at you with another video. Thanks for stopping by. Once again, welcome back. My friends, today we will be discussing the legendary Pissgrave. Pissgrave is a band where people either love them or they hate them. There's really no in between, not that I can discern. They somewhat create quite a divide in the metal community, at least, yeah, what I can see. And I can kind of get on the one hand where people are coming from. Me as a fan, this video is not only sort of going over Malignant Worthlessness, but it's somewhat in defense of Pissgrave, right? We're all entitled to our opinion. I get it, right? But I just want to offer some thoughts and stuff about why this band is important, and also discuss a bit of the lore, the mystery shrouding this band, and also the genius behind them. Without further ado, let's get there. A band coming out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They started in 2013 and released their demo in 2014. I have my cheat sheet here, so right, and of course I've showed this in my other video, my collection update. I can't show the cover, but like I said before, it features a gentleman on the cover who has seen better days. We'll say that. You know, people say, and I've heard this before, that, oh, this is just a mix of songs between their debut and also their sophomore. That's not really accurate. There's only one song from the sophomore album, and that's Rusted Winds. There are two other tracks that are just exclusive to just the demo, from what I could tell, because I can't find them anywhere else. And those songs are something hallucination. Yeah, Desolate Hallucination and Sadistic Telepathy, right? So I can show that, right? And yeah, it has the three members, but there's four members now. This one guy's wearing a Pagan Altar shirt. I am not a new wave of British heavy metal guy. I can't. Some of it I can, but you know, I guess with Pagan Altar they sort of have the Black Sabbath worship kind of going on. I don't know. Did Pagan Altar come out before Black Sabbath? I assume so. Let me know in the comments below. Not really sure. So then they came out with their debut in 2015. Now let me go ahead and mention that while this came out on the Graceless Recordings tape, what I have is the 2020 Profound Lore reissue. So obviously, yeah, they signed to Profound Lore Records out of Canada. They have an office in New York as well, but yeah, so 2015, they released the debut, Self-Deletion Euphoria. I'm going to have to censor some stuff on this video. So just a quick little fun story. I bought this tape off of Discogs, and the only reason I got it was because it was for a really good price. And I thought, when am I ever going to find this again? This stuff's super hard to find. So yeah, it ended up arriving, and I seen that the sender was Sedimentum Death. And I'm like, Sedimentum? And it's funny because when it arrived, I actually had Sedimentum on my turntable. So I messaged, and I'm like, Sedimentum? And he's like, yeah, that's my band. So yeah, thank you, AE, the vocalist, and also guitarist for Sedimentum. For the sweet deal, if you're watching. Super cool. I'm sure he has an extra copy, what have you. This is the album that just blew these guys up. You don't need me to tell you this. I'm not telling you guys anything that you don't already know. I'm fully aware of this. It's a great album. I think side B is my favorite, though I like the entire thing. But man, the Prevail in Hell, the title track, Mass Cremation, Second Sorrowful Mystery, Blood Fog. I mean, wow, that is insane. Side B is so intense, so insane, and so memorable. I always ask, what makes something good? What gives a song, an album longevity? And two main factors. It has to be good, but it also has to be memorable. Years down the road, I hear a lick, I hear a riff, and immediately I know that's Blood Fog, right? So anyway, now in 2018 they came out with the split with Undergang, which is sort of a live tour. It features just one unreleased song from Pissgrave. So in 2019 they came out with Posthumous Humiliation. That's the one album I don't have, and people always say, well, you don't really need to worry about that when it's not that good anyway. I disagree. I'm not big on digital. I don't do CDs. I don't do streaming, but that's a lie because I do stream when I don't have something. And Posthumous Humiliation, I think, is a fine album. It does seem discombobulated and disjointed upon first listen, but the more that you sit with it, the more that it sort of clicks. And man, Rusted Winds, wow, what a way to finish out a record right there. So 6 long years go by, over a half a decade, and then they drop Malignant Worthlessness onto the scene. We're still waiting on the vinyl. The LPs are held up for whatever reason. I actually have the Profound Lore tape, but there's also a Night Shroud version over across the way. And they did this with Posthumous Humiliation too, where they released both a cassette tape on through Profound Lore and also Night Shroud. Now, their debut, they didn't have that straight through Profound Lore. They just licensed it straight over to Night Shroud. So anyway, that's sort of the rundown. That's all the boring stuff out of the way. Now let's get into the good stuff. 4 members. Yeah. 4 members. Now, when you look at the credits on these albums, you really wouldn't know who these members are because, take for instance, the new album, right? You see the guys right there, but the only thing as in the way of credits is just this little thing that says it's produced by Arthur Risk and R.I.P. Brad Robb. Yeah, that's it. The band members, they're no social media. They're not listed in the credits. So it's very, kind of like, what's that one new band? What is that band? Mephitic Corpse. Yeah, they don't have a social media presence. Spectral Voice, they're not on social media. You have to do some digging around to find it. Granted, it's not that hard, right? Just a quick search on Discogs or even Metal Archives, and you'll find out who these guys are, right? But there's just sort of this decision made by the band just to kind of keep things on the low to some degree. So you have Tim, right, wearing the Slaughter Lord shirt right here. This is the main guy. You have his brother over here, Matt, who does the drums. You have Brad on bass. And this other gentleman, Damien, over here wearing the sweet Slayer Live Undead shirt. He does guitars and vocals right along with Tim. So those are the 4 guys in this band, and each one of them are involved in other bands. Now, when you try to look up lyrics for Pissgrave, you'll find out quickly that they're just non-existent. You cannot find any lyrics anywhere, right? It's just impossible. I have a friend overseas, international, who he's very close with this band, and if I ever have questions, I ask him. I said, hey man, what where can I find lyrics to Pissgrave stuff? And this was his exact words. Tim is super mysterious. Even the band members themselves don't know what the lyrics are. Imagine being in a band and you don't even know what your vocalist is up there singing, right? And because of the nature of him using the double mics, right, with the reverb, what have you, there's no way to really discern what's being said. There are only a handful of occasions where I can even pick out a word here or there, like in Blood Fog, or there's a song on the debut where he's basically saying Satan, Satan, Satan at the end. So, speaking of Satan, right, is this a band that's really on that type of thing? Well, I can tell you this, that if you take and cover up all the letters except for the S, the S, and the G, you're left with something that looks a lot like 666. Granted, not a fan of that. Imagine that. But now, is that what they're going for? I think so. I think so, probably. And when you consider that they have 3 albums, this band is only signed for 3 albums. This last album, they're done after this. They're done. That's all they want to do. So they really are done after this album. This is it. So 3 albums totaling 9 songs each. 999 flipped upside down, 666. So I think there is some cryptic messaging in this. Now, when it comes to just the material, the messaging of the album, I think it's mostly misanthropic as far as just all the crap that obviously happens in the world. Take, for instance, every album cover that they've ever put on the front of their albums, right? So very, very dread-inducing, what have you. They have a song which just sums up what Pissgrave are going for. It just sums it up perfectly, and that is Ignominy of Putrefaction. It's on side B on the new one. Ignominy of Putrefaction, which is like a public shaming of rot. So you have just this rot, putrefaction on full display for everyone to see, right? And I think that pretty nicely sums up what it is that they're going for. So like I've mentioned before, there are just people who do not like this music. Jammin' John with Thralls of Metal, Thrash Maniac 99, Metal Meltdown. These guys have went on the record themselves saying that, hey, not a fan, alright? You know, granted, they do like some stuff here and there, but just in general, not the biggest fans. And I could see why, because it's super abrasive. You know, when you listen to the production and there's not a lot of dynamics, and it's just so raw, it almost turns... You know what it kind of reminds me of is the new Burning in Celestial Poison, where the bass isn't as present as what I would normally like to see. Everything feels like a barrage just coming at you. So, I mean, I get it, right? I get it. But I think what Pissgrave are going for, and this is my own theory, I don't know for sure because the band is so closed off, getting any sort of information out of these guys is not like pulling teeth. It's just impossible. It's impossible. So all we have left is to speculate. And I think, at least what this puts me in the mind of, is early second wave of black metal's complaint against death metal at the time becoming super produced and extra edited. And that's what I told Thrash Maniac 99. You know, when these guys see people get on stage in their gym shorts and basketball jerseys and start performing death metal, right? But it's not just about the appearance or the kayfabe. It's also the music. When it's super refined and overproduced, it's just I guess there's a place for it. But I could see where Pissgrave is sort of getting back to basics, so to say. Right? They're bringing authenticity back to death metal. They're getting back to that early second wave of black metal's complaint against death metal and saying, you know what, hey, we're getting back to where it should be. They're trying to move death metal into the direction that they feel that it should go. And I think they're doing a good job at it because they're turning heads, they're getting eyeballs on their stuff, and gaining a lot of traction. Like I said, you don't need me to tell you that. You already know. But when I listen to the sound, it's very much chaotic, obviously. And what I have found with Pissgrave albums is the more that you listen to them, just like a really good movie, like Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, on multiple viewings, on multiple listens, you pick up on things that you didn't first grab on that first go around. And it's like a jigsaw puzzle that's just sort of scattered around, and on each listen a couple pieces come together, and after some more, a few more pieces come together, and it's just, the more that you spend time with it, the more that things sort of seem to click, right, and make sense. You can separate some of the instrumentation. You can sort of understand why they went for this and they went for that. So speaking of harsh sound, abrasive stuff, the way they end their songs, and especially on the new album, the way that they've decided to end this album, and people have really been talking about this, mystical obscenities, where things just get sort of real loud and staticky, and then woof, they drop the axe, and that's it. That's it. That's the perfect way for a Pissgrave album to end. People don't like that, but could you imagine Pissgrave ending an album any other way? That's what they've been doing since day one. Super loud, super aggressive, and then boom, things start flying out the gate, fists flying, right? And then all of a sudden, the song gets chopped right off. And I always ask myself, man, it's really important how a band chooses to start and end their album, but also start and end each and every song. They could have some sort of fading away effect. They could change something up in the last few seconds. They could cut something off abrasively. Their riffs and stuff could sort of ride out in the sunset. There are many ways you can end a song, or an album for that matter. And it only makes sense that a band like this does what they do to end each and every song. Seems like there's something on my nose, but there's not. It's just the light. It fits with what they do. It fits with the Pissgrave aesthetic, and I don't know that I can imagine them doing something any other way than how they've done it. I think it's perfect. I think it's a great album. I'm not going to review each and every song in excruciating detail like I normally would. Like I said, this is more of a video just discussing Pissgrave, why they've drawn the ire that they have, and why they've also attracted so much attention that they have. And so, those are just my few simple thoughts from a guy who's still basically a greenhorn, right? So, take that for whatever it's worth. Jorge, a Christian who collects death metal, signing off. Be blessed.